Ladies, let's have a heart-to-heart. Attraction isn't built only on looks, charm, or that initial chemistry. Those things may spark interest, but what keeps a man captivated, what makes him step back and say, "I can't afford to lose her," is your value. Value is the silent force that makes you unforgettable. But here's the problem: so many women, without realizing it, kill their own value in front of a man, and once that happens, the dynamic changes. He loses respect, he loses effort, and eventually he loses interest. So, if you truly want to keep your power and be cherished, you have to avoid these four traps that slowly destroy your value. The first mistake is giving too much too soon. Think about it. If a man hasn't invested anything in you yet, his time, his consistency, his energy, but you're already pouring yourself into the relationship, what message are you sending? You're telling him that he doesn't have to do anything to earn you, that your love, attention, and energy are available at a discount price, and when something comes too easy, we don't treasure it. Imagine someone giving you a priceless gift for free. You'd enjoy it, sure, but would you value it the same as something you had to save up for? Something you worked for? Something you earned? Of course not. That's why you must pace yourself. Love is not about withholding, but it is about recognizing that your time, affection, and effort are valuable commodities. When you give them away without discernment, you unintentionally lower your worth in his eyes. The second thing that kills your value is losing yourself in the relationship. So many women make this mistake without realizing it. You start off vibrant, independent, full of life. You have hobbies, friends, passions, dreams. That's what attracted him to you in the first place, but as time goes on, you begin revolving your entire existence around him. Suddenly, you're waiting on his texts, adjusting your whole day to his plans, and little by little, your world shrinks until he becomes the center of it. And here's the brutal truth: when you lose yourself, you lose the spark that drew him in. Men fall for women who have a life, who bring energy and curiosity into the relationship. If you abandon that, you stop being magnetic. The third trap is tolerating bad behavior. Every time you accept disrespect, every time you excuse laziness, every time you overlook patterns of inconsistency, you're silently training him that your standards don't matter. And here's the thing: once a man sees that your boundaries are flexible, he no longer feels the need to rise to them. Respect is born from clarity. If you don't make it clear what you deserve and stick to it, he will not respect you the way you deserve. And finally, the most damaging of all is chasing his validation. When you constantly seek reassurance, when you ask over and over, "Do you love me? Do you miss me? Where is this going?" you put him on a pedestal and yourself beneath it. You start performing for his approval instead of living in your own value. The irony is, the moment you chase validation, you communicate that you don't believe in your own worth. And if you don't believe in it, why should he? The truth is, the most attractive women are the ones who don't need external validation. They already know their worth, and because they know it, they naturally command it. So remember, your value is the core of your power. Protect it. Don't give too much too soon. Don't lose yourself. Don't tolerate disrespect. And never chase validation. The moment you do, you stop being another option and start being the woman he can't stop thinking about. Here's the truth: in love, attraction may pull a man toward you, but it's value that makes him stay. And value doesn't mean perfection, it means how you carry yourself, how you set the tone in a relationship, how you show that your time, energy, and heart are not things to be wasted. Yet so many women sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They do little things that, over time, erode the respect and desire a man once had, and it's not always big mistakes, it's often subtle patterns. There are 4 of these behaviors that, if you fall into them, will slowly but surely kill your value in front of him. The first is being too available. Let's be honest, when you first like someone, it feels exciting to drop everything for them. You think, if I show him how much I care, he'll see I'm different, he'll see I'm serious. But what often happens is the opposite. Instead of seeing it as a beautiful gesture, he starts to see it as predictable, as easy, as something he doesn't have to earn. Availability is wonderful in moderation, but when you are always there, always reachable, always waiting, you unintentionally communicate that your life has no higher priority than him. And while that sounds romantic in movies, in real life it kills attraction. A man respects and desires the woman who has her own schedule, her own commitments, her own identity outside of him. The second thing that lowers your value is playing small to please him. This is when you hide your true opinions, your personality, your boldness, because you're afraid it might be too much. You think, if I tone it down, if I make myself agreeable, he'll want me more. But here's what actually happens. He stops seeing you as the confident woman who caught his attention in the first place and starts seeing you as someone he can walk all over. Value is in authenticity. A man doesn't fall in love with the version of you that sacrifices her truth just to keep the peace. He falls in love with the real you, the one who isn't afraid to have an opinion, to disagree, to stand firm in her identity. The third trap is ignoring red flags. How many times have you seen the warning signs? He's inconsistent, he cancels last minute, he dismisses your feelings. But instead of addressing them, you excuse them. You tell yourself, he's just busy, he's stressed. He'll change, but every time you overlook a red flag, you lower the bar, and the lower the bar, the lower your value in his eyes. Men don't respect women who tolerate behavior they know isn't good enough. They respect women who hold their standards and show they're willing to walk away if those standards aren't met. And the last thing that kills your value is trying to compete for his attention. Maybe you feel like you need to prove yourself against other women, or fight for his love by doing more, giving more, showing more. But love is not a competition, and when you act like it is, you place yourself beneath him. You start chasing instead of attracting. You show desperation instead of confidence. A woman who knows her worth doesn't compete. She understands that if he can't see her value without her fighting for it, he's not the man who deserves her. So if you want to protect your value, remember this. Don't be overly available, don't play small, don't ignore red flags, and don't compete for love. When you cut out these habits, you don't just become more desirable, you become the woman he knows he cannot afford to lose. Let's talk about something that's not often said out loud. Value is not about how much you do for a man, how much you prove yourself, or how much you sacrifice. Value is about presence. It's about the way you carry yourself in the relationship, the boundaries you set, and the energy you bring into his life. When a man feels your value, he doesn't just want you, he respects you, he prioritizes you, he invests in you. But there are patterns women fall into that slowly chip away at that value, and before they know it, the dynamic shifts. He starts putting in less effort, he stops chasing, he takes you for granted. That shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens when these four behaviors creep in. The first is neglecting your own life. At the start, you may have been full of energy, your career, your friendships, your hobbies. That independence was magnetic. But then, as the relationship deepens, you slowly start canceling your plans to be with him. You stop doing the things that light you up. Your world starts orbiting his. And here's the problem. He didn't fall in love with a shadow of himself. He fell in love with a woman who had her own identity. When you give that up, you strip away the very thing that made you attractive in the first place. A man sees value in a woman who has a full life, not one who abandons it for him. The second way you kill your value is by over-explaining yourself. This shows up when you constantly justify your feelings, your decisions, or your needs because you're scared of being misunderstood. But every time you do that, you give away your power. You communicate that your choices only matter if they're approved by him. And a man will never fully respect a woman who needs permission to stand by what she believes in. Your value is in your certainty. You don't need to convince someone why you deserve respect. You show it by living it. The third is accepting breadcrumbs. This looks like holding on to the little things he gives, occasional texts, sporadic effort, half-hearted gestures, while ignoring the fact that he's not consistently showing up. And because you're afraid of losing him, you tell yourself, at least he's giving me something. But here's the truth. Crumbs are not a meal. A woman who accepts less than she deserves tells a man he doesn't need to step up because she'll settle anyway, and the moment you accept crumbs, you lower your own value in his eyes. And fourth behavior that kills your value is making him the source of your happiness. When you rely on him to validate your beauty, your worth, or your importance, you create dependency. You tie your joy to his moods, his actions, his attention, and that's not attractive. It's heavy. A man feels more drawn to a woman who is happy in herself, who brings light into the relationship, not one who drains it by needing constant reassurance. So if you want to protect your value, remember this. Keep your life full, stop over-explaining, don't accept crumbs, and never hand over your happiness to someone else to control. That's the kind of value that doesn't just attract a man, it makes him realize he would be a fool to let you go. There's something powerful you need to understand about attraction. It's not just about the spark, the butterflies, or the chemistry in the beginning. Those things are exciting, but they fade if there's no foundation underneath them. What truly makes a man see you as someone he cannot afford to lose is the value you bring into his life, and not just value in the sense of what you do for him, but in how you show up, how you respect yourself, and how you carry your standards. Yet so many women unknowingly sabotage themselves by falling into 4 patterns that silently erode that value, and the scariest part, most don't even realize they're doing it until it's too late. The first thing that kills your value is neediness disguised as love. This shows up when you constantly need his attention to feel secure, when you're restless if he hasn't called, anxious if he hasn't texted, or upset if he makes plans without you. At first, it might feel like you're just showing how much you care, but to him, it comes across as pressure, and pressure pushes people away. A man respects and desires a woman who can hold her own, who doesn't need constant reassurance, but instead brings confidence and calm into the relationship. When you ground yourself in your own worth, you don't cling, you attract. The second mistake is compromising your standards just to keep him happy. Maybe you don't like something he does, but you stay silent. Maybe you want more effort, but you accept the bare minimum because you're scared that speaking up will push him away. But here's the truth. Every time you lower your standards, you teach him how little he needs to do. And once he learns that, the effort disappears. A woman who holds her standards, without anger, without drama, just calm certainty, is the woman a man respects, because she shows him she values herself enough not to accept less. The third way you destroy your value is over-prioritizing him while under-prioritizing yourself. It looks like dropping your goals, your dreams, your friendships, and your passions so you can always be available. You think this will make him see how much you care, but it only does the opposite. Because when your life starts shrinking around him, you become less of the woman he admired and more of an accessory to his world. And accessories are replaceable. He doesn't want someone who abandons her own fire. He wants someone who brings that fire into his life. And the fourth mistake is reacting emotionally to everything he does or doesn't do. If he takes a little longer to text, you spiral. If he cancels plans, you explode. If he seems distant, you immediately question the whole relationship. But here's the reality. Emotional volatility makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability makes you exhausting. A man finds value in a woman who is steady, can handle ups and downs without losing herself in them. That doesn't mean you don't express feelings. It means you express them with composure and self-respect. So if you want to hold onto your value, remember this. Don't confuse love with neediness. Don't compromise your standards. Don't abandon yourself, and don't lose control of your emotions. When you embody that kind of self-respect, you don't have to demand value from a man. He sees it, he feels it, and he will rise to meet it. Let's face it. Relationships are not just about how much a man likes you at the start. They're about whether he continues to respect and value you over time. You can be the most beautiful, caring, and giving woman in the beginning, but if you fall into certain patterns, your value in his eyes can slowly diminish. And when a man no longer sees value, he stops investing, the connection fades, the effort drops, and suddenly you're wondering, what happened? The truth is, it's often not about what you lack, it's about what behaviors you've allowed to creep in. There are 4 habits in particular that can quietly kill your value if you don't catch them early. The first is abandoning your standards to avoid conflict. Many women make this mistake, thinking it will keep the peace or make the relationship easier. You ignore the things that bother you, you let him get away with actions that hurt you, and you swallow your needs because you don't want to seem difficult. But every time you do this, you're not making the relationship stronger. You're training him that your needs don't matter, and the less he feels he has to give, the less he'll give. A man values a woman who can calmly and confidently say, "This is what I deserve," without apology. The second way you lose value is giving without balance. It's natural to want nurture, to give your time, energy, and attention, but when you do it endlessly without noticing whether he's giving back, you start to deplete yourself. And once you're depleted, resentment builds. Here's the paradox. Men don't value what they didn't have to earn. If you're always the one showing up, planning, fixing, and carrying the relationship, he'll start to see you less as a partner and more as a convenience. Real value is not in doing everything for him, it's in knowing when to give and when to let him step up. The third is letting fear dictate your actions. Fear of losing him, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. That fear makes you overthink every move, tolerate situations that don't feel good, and settle for treatment that falls short of what you truly want. But here's the truth. Fear lowers your energy. It makes you appear smaller, less certain, and less magnetic. Men are drawn to women who act out of certainty and love, not fear and insecurity. When you choose self-respect over fear, you instantly elevate your value. And finally, the fourth thing that kills your value is forgetting your uniqueness. When you start comparing yourself to other women, trying to compete, trying to fit into what you think he wants, you dilute what makes you special. You stop shining in your own light. And the moment you try to become someone else, you lose the very magic that made you stand out. Remember, your value isn't in being like anyone else. It's in being one kind woman you already are. So protect your value, keep your standards, give with balance, let love, not fear, guide you, and never forget the uniqueness that makes you irreplaceable. When you live this way, a man doesn't just see you as valuable, he sees you as unforgettable.